Well, in a day when England finally won a major trophy and Nottingham Forest made a signing after much anticipation, we are here streaming, as you could expect. Now, first of all, thank you to everybody that joins us tonight. There's 22 of you in currently, and we're only about 40 seconds in. Good to have you all. Do comment and let me know that you are all here. It's great to be back. Last night, unfortunately, I couldn't make it due to just Wi-Fi's gone off for a minute there. I couldn't make it last night, unfortunately, just due to personal reasons. And then Friday I was working. So yeah, it's been a pretty busy few days, to be completely honest. But I am back, and it's good to be back because today we're going to be talking about not just about this man, but this man above here. If it loads up, there we go. Orel Mangala, who signs for a fee of around 12.6 million British pounds. And around 12 million euros with 2 million euros, 13 million euros with 2 million euros added on in bonuses. So, first of all, congratulations to England women who today won the Women's Euro tournament. Absolutely amazing. It's just good to actually be able to see England win a trophy. And it's official. Football has come home. So, very, very pleased. So proud of them, the England team that represent absolutely every single one of us. They've done such a great job. And yeah, here we are. We beat Germany 2-1. So they can sing what they want. We are Euro champions. But first of all, it's good to be back. As I say, there's 52 of you in. Please like, subscribe, do your thing. And I don't think I've got to mention my sponsor as well, Remedy Beast. Do check them out if you're interested in any CBD products that you need for your joints. You know, if you're feeling a little bit old or you're feeling a bit rusty, these guys will sort you out. Anyway, without further ado, I told you so. Now, I'm saying this because I did. I told you so, didn't I? Now, Orel Mangala, he's signed from Stuttgart, and it's fair to say that there's been a few sad fans over in Stuttgart, and I've actually got my Stuttgart shirt on tonight in solidarity with those Stuttgart fans because I know that Orel Mangala was a massive part of their team. And also the way that they've conducted themselves. It's obviously gutting to lose one of your favourite players. We've seen it over the years. You know, we've lost the likes of Antonio. We lost the likes of, at the time, Oliver Burke. You know, we've lost players that at the time meant a lot to us. Big players. You know, they've been taken by teams that had more money. And now we're in a position where we've done that to them. And obviously they're feeling it. But they've signed a couple of good players in replacement or whatever. So, I don't really care now at this point. I'm just happy we've got him. It's been a long process, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the worst kept secret, perhaps, in Forest history. And I just want to say evening to you all. Kel, thank you so much for your kindness. Kel has always supported this channel. We've been streaming for over a month now. I'm not expecting it to be ridiculously busy tonight because of the Euros. I know that people are busy with that. Which is fair enough, completely understand. Now, I've absolutely loved streaming. It's been a month since we started almost. We started with 102 subscribers and now we're at 928. Guys, we've smashed it. And we're nearly 1,000. We need to get 1,000 by next Saturday. That is what we need to achieve. We've said it from the start. We've got to do it before the Newcastle game. So anything you can do to help get to 1,000, please do it. Dor, great to have you. Forestan, you also. NFFC Player Watch, I gave you the heads up. I didn't necessarily get in trouble for the heads up, but let's just say I did actually get a phone call from Forest about that post that I made. Hence why I took it down. And for anybody that thought I was being a bit odd by asking people to take the post down, I wasn't. I was asked to take the post down. I'm going to clarify that to you now. I'm not going to go into details of what was said in the conversation, but I was told to take the post down by Forest. I did. And I encouraged others to do the exact same, just on the fact that I respect the club and I love the club and also work within the club. So I don't want to kind of, I say work within the club, volunteer within the club. So I don't want to affect anything that I do, or my organisation that I volunteer with does at Forest. I don't want anything to affect it. So I did it courtesy and respect. And they weren't angry in the way they asked it either. Daryl, good to have you also. Jay, what do you think of Niakate and Mangala? Amazing. I think, Niakate and Mangala will play again. Well, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Niakate has been fantastic most pre-season. Surprised not to see him at Notts County. But that's just how it is. I mean, I saw Mangala at Notts County. You know, he was obviously, Liam Stanhope posted a picture of him with him just outside the director's box. So I'm a bit good because my friend, which many of you will know, Gary Burles, he didn't tell me that Mangala was there. So neither did Nicholas Randall. I spoke to them both and none of them told me. So can't believe it. They keep their lips sealed for that. Ian, thank you for your subscription. That means a lot. First of all, welcome. It's good to have you. Hopefully, I'm going to provide a very personalised service to you all. You know, I'm happy to answer all of your questions whenever you want. It's a pleasure to do so. Evening, Ez. Good to hear from you, my friend. Minnie Cooper, brilliant from the England ladies. Fantastic. Evening, Kev. Good to have you. I mean, unless there's an injury concern with Niakate, which I've not been made aware of, I don't think Cook will start. And in my opinion, I don't think Cook deserves to start that game. And based off preseason, and I know we kind of don't really go off preseason much or a lot because obviously it's preseason. But I don't think Steve Cook has deserved it looking at that. He hasn't looked in the greatest of form. And to be completely honest, you have to look at how they're playing in preseason a little bit because you have to go, okay, one, are they fit? Two, how are they looking playing with other players? And Niakate has played fantastically. So why Steve Cook would start, I don't know. The concern I would have is who plays in his place. Would it be Niakate or McKenna? Personally, I'm Niakate because I think McKenna works well passing it down the left. I think he's more suited to it. Not saying that he wouldn't do well in the centre-back role, the centre-back. I think he'd smash it. But I prefer Niakate there at the moment. Just because I think Toffolo and McKenna did quite well. They're getting used to each other now, which is good. And it's having a positive impact. Eve, good to have you here. Good photos from you pictures I've seen you drawing. Absolutely awesome. As you know, the standard of your drawing is fantastic. Check Eve's pictures out as well on Twitter. Swings and roundabouts, yeah, 100%. I mean, I did share the leaked photo. And what can I say? I was right. Yeah, Forest did call me for that. That was a bit of a shock. I don't know if any of you know, but my friend Sasha Toviglieri was the guy that shared the main video. He got a call as well. So it was an interesting day, really interesting day. Let's say that. I didn't expect to get a call from them, but an honour, although it was a little bit of not a telling off, but it was an honour to have got the call from someone of the person that called me. Robert, hello, Red Dogs. Having a takeaway, any suggestions? Oh, it's got to be a kebab, hasn't it? Or a Chinese. Or we can go for the Gavin and Stacey. I'm not even going to say all of what Smithy said, but yeah, Chinese got to be one. Matt's Goodwin, subscribe to this man as well. Fantastic on his player analysis. Really enjoy those. No. And this isn't because there's a lot of things going around about why people don't want Josh Bowler, and it's nothing to do with January in my case. I don't think he's Premier League standard. I don't think he's Premier League standard personally. I mean, do I think he can do a job in the Championship? Yeah. Do I think he can do it? Is he the player that we need now? No. Why would he be? I mean, unless he's just going to be for rotation, then potentially. But for me, no. I'm not interested, really. I think we need to look at signing another bigger midfielder, the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, and we'd be happy with that. And I'm also going to talk about backup striker situation because I've got a bit of a theory, but I'm not going to bring it to you just now. We're going to answer a few questions first. Darth Brexit, got to get a crispy shredded beef. Absolutely. I saw the picture you drew, Joe Orel. Really, really good. Ashley, great to have you. Chris, a week to go. I'm looking forward to it. Nolsey, hit the nail on the head. 2 questions. Cooper's contract. From what I know, everything's ready to be signed. I don't know the date it's going to be signed. I don't even think it's being used as leverage for transfers. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a case of getting it done now. So I would say give it another week, maybe 2 weeks at the very most, in between that kind of timeline. It won't be long. Let's say that. Niakate kitted up. Yeah, I believe he was. Yeah. But it's just a shame he didn't get the chance to play. Wow. Chicago Detrox02. Thank you for joining us all the way from over across the pond. Come on, let's focus on Forest. Come on, let's not even think about that. It's Oxford. Fair play to them, but it's League One, isn't it? A meal for 4 is looking on the cards here, pal. Okay, well, good luck. I'm wishing you the best, but a kebab would be the best choice for me. But Bowler and Dennis would be me done. No, I don't know really, because I wouldn't have Dennis at this rate for 20 million, because I think you've got something in a 1 year. You have got something in him. He's a good signing. And as much as I did have some doubts and some concerns in some games in the preseason, you know, I think it's I think it's a case of now we've got to give him time, and we've got to let him work his way into the team and gel. Whether he's a number 9, I don't really know, but we'll have to wait and see. Declan, nothing. On further signings, I'm thinking that Morgan Gibbs-White is 100% a target, right? He's, I would say, probably priority target. I wouldn't say we're any closer to signing him, but I don't know what the hold-up is in regards to if we've even made a bid for him. But I would say Morgan Gibbs-White is definitely a target. I know there's a guy from PSG that was mentioned as well, but I'm not quite sure on that one. So I wonder what they said to Mangala's dad, says Russell. Settled on the Chinese now. Good work. In the know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let's have a quick look. Robert, there's a case of that. And then there's also apparently a possibility that it wasn't him that didn't want the deal. It was Blackpool that apparently pulled the plug on the deal. How true that is, I don't know. But that's what some people are saying. When is Colin Frey on the channel? I'm trying to get it. I am trying to get it. I'm trying to do it through another BBC colleague of his that I know. And we are trying to work on it. Gary Birtles is coming, though. Gary Birtles probably within the next fortnight, I would say. I met him yesterday, shook his hand, had a little chat with him and Nicholas Randall, had a nice little conversation. So I'd say 2 weeks. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe you would take Bowler. I mean, I'm not saying that, he's a rubbish player, but I just don't, for me, I don't think we need him at this point, unless he's rotation, where potentially. Yeah, there was mention of a young PSG midfielder. I'm trying to find the exact tweet now, because I think Brandon tagged me in it. Brandon Doan. If you don't know Brandon, follow him on Twitter. He's awesome. This guy knows where he's always tagging me in things. But I've actually lost where this. I'll try and find it for you, Marts. But I did have something earlier. I don't think it's really 100%. You says Joe. Hope you're well, my friend. I'm guessing you've probably finished work not too long ago. Yeah, 100%. Morgan Gibbs-White over either of those. Let's do this, says the Walking Boom. I'm sure your name changes every time. Good to have you, my friend. Love your podcast. Greeting from Texas. Wow. Antonio Ruiz, thank you for joining. Absolutely fantastic. Cooper Trooper. Hey, Jay. Great job on here. Just subscribe. Why didn't Niakate play against Valencia? As far as I know, there's not an injury concern. I've not been told of any injury concerns. I've not heard anything in that regard. I'm not worried by any means about what's going on with Niakate. I think people are jumping on it and reading too much into it. I think perhaps they're just giving Steve Cook, the full 90, because let's be honest, how often is he going to get that? And I know there's going to be a lot of rotation in this squad, because at the moment Forest have got a first team, but they haven't really got much rotation in that midfield, which they will need. So if you're thinking Colback, Cafu, Lingard, O'Brien, and then others as well, and Yates also, can't forget Yates, you're still going to need a couple for depth and also first teamers as well. So yeah, I would say it's a case of giving Steve Cook some more minutes. I wouldn't say he's going to leave, but I would say that he's probably going to be playing a lot less minutes, and he knows that. Steve Cooper just being respectful on that part. Looks a little bit better against Valencia. He's going to get better and better. I'm assuming you mean Awoniyi. If so, yeah. Ooh, what you say? Oh, God. Jim. Oh, God. They're trolling me now. They're trolling me. They're all together trolling me. I can't believe this. Bowler is top class. Yeah. No, well, I think he's good. I think he's good. And I say he's quite good. But, I mean, he wouldn't cost a lot, as Owen says here. He wouldn't cost a lot. That's right. But I don't know. If we're looking for a first-team midfielder, not the person I'd go for, I'm not that interested in having him in. But as I said, I'd possibly have him in rotation. Possibly. But let's I mean, George thinks that Niakate wouldn't play because they don't want to get him injured. That'll be interesting. And as Knowlesy says, yeah, I think he will be first choice. I don't see why not. And Ben's just saying, Ben's singing a song in the chat. Look at this. What is he doing? Bowler no better than Mighton. I think Bowler's probably. I think Bowler's better than Mighton, but he's got more experience, more game time. Why have I just showed that name? Because I've just seen your name now on the. I'm so sorry about that. That was not PG. Mike, I know that's not your real name, but you got me there. So he's called the PSG one, Dina Akimbe. I don't know his name. I think it was something like that though. Yeah, Forrester Magic. You know that one. Any updates on Emmanuel Dennis? From what I know, we've not even put in a bid for Emmanuel Dennis. And the last thing I heard from Cornet, apparently, if we did put in a bid, it was too low. So, and I think he's got a release clause of 17.5 million. So from what I would guess, Forest are kind of working their way around it quite a lot. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But as far as I know, no bids for Dennis, and not really hearing too much about Cornet at this point in time. Guys, there's 134 of you in. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by next Saturday. We're now at 932. Come on. If we can get to 1,000 by next Saturday, that'd be awesome. So that'd be quite good. When is David Poole back on? Whenever you guys want him to come back on, I suppose. You are the people. Talk. I doubt they'd let. Yeah, Gibbs-White wouldn't be a loan job. And I'm too scared of loans now because for me, well, look at the Spence situation, and others as well. This is what I'm concerned about at Henderson. If he does well this season and we want to buy him as a first team keeper next season, we could be paying 30 million or 40 million next season, compared to the 20 million we would have potentially spent this season as an optional, buy fee. So for me, I wouldn't even if we could, I wouldn't loan him in because I know his value will go up. And obviously if he doesn't do well, then we're not going to win either way. So no, not for me. I wouldn't. Loans are too risky at times for me, unless the player's worth quite a lot already. Warren, good to have you in, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Mike, I'm not going to put your name up, but Nottingham Post. Yeah, I think the standard of journalism. I think actually it's Sarah Clapson, isn't it? Sarah Clapson hasn't done bad by any means. I think she's a good journalist, just as Paul Taylor was when he was at the Nottingham Post. I don't think it's the journalist's fault. I think it's the system that they're put under. I've been doing journalism locally in my area, not even sports journalism, just normal journalism. And, in the standard that you see of the Nottingham Post, it's like, well, the guys that we volunteer with, they don't have any experience, but they write better. I don't think it's the people that work there. I think it's probably the system they're put under, being forced to make ridiculously stupid articles. News on the Hour. I remember News on the Hour was the first person to break the news about Dusan Tadic. He says, and he's confident in this, or they said, that Dusan Tadic is still in talks with Nottingham Forest over a move. He plays for Ajax. He's around 33 years of age. I wouldn't mind the transfer because I think he's good. Wages is my only concern. So let's see how that goes. But he thinks Dusan Tadic is going to come to Forest. Cornet offered 67k a week by Everton. Interesting. I think if Newcastle want to go in, they can. I mean, they have got the money, but they haven't really showed that, have they? They're being fairly sensible, or maybe even underdoing it, to be completely honest. Bowler got 9 out of 10 in his last game. The reporters, yeah, but I mean, what game was that? I'm not really 100%. I'd expect more rumours to come out tomorrow. Let the Mangala stuff go, just fly over a little bit, and then we will see more about this. I would say probably if Dusan Tadic's rumours are true, I think they'll start being leaked over the next couple of days. But News, what was his name? News, where are you? I've lost you now. But the guy that mentioned it to me first, and he did a good job of it. We'll be waiting for to see what happens on this. And as Nick says, hit the like button, because when you do, and I'm gonna do this in true Chibuddy G style. I'm just gonna waffle. It actually does push up engagement. That's not a joke. But it really does help. So if you can just push the like button and give us a bit of a hand, getting the channel kind of kicked off, because obviously once we do hit 1,000, we're going to keep striving. We're going to keep striving, putting Forest on the map in terms of YouTube, and making Premier League content. And I'll also be uploading all of my commentaries here. So it will be after the game as well, so I don't get in trouble with licenses. Remember going into a season with Matt Derbyshire as our main striker? Doesn't seem real. It doesn't. I didn't mind Matt Derbyshire, though, to be fair. I mean, I didn't know really much about him. I was a young lad at that point, but only remember goals with him. Who would you prefer out of Dennis and Cornet? In our team, I mean, I think Dennis would be because of his striking ability, but you've got to remember that the chances of Dennis getting in that forward, it would be too difficult logistically, because you've got Johnson and Awoniyi, and then you'd have Dennis in the mix as well. I mean, who are you going to drop out? Okay, if you're going to say Awoniyi because of a standard pre-season where he's not really done much, because look at when he gets delivery, what he can do. But let's be honest, he didn't do much in that pre-season because he didn't have the delivery. So if we're prepared to drop a nearly £20 million striker for another £20 million striker, I think we're making a big, big gamble there. So for me, it would be Cornet, only because of those reasons that I've just mentioned. I think Forest wanted Garner. But yeah, potentially. I still think Garner's an opportunity. I still think Garner's a possibility, sorry. I still think we could get him. I mean, he got yellow carded and took off today, so see how it is. Any truth in Mangala medical? And I'm going to be honest with you, Simon. From what I know, yes. And this is just from what I've heard mostly. Now, Mangala medical being switched to Greece. From what I know, yeah, there was issues I think it was in England when they were doing the Omar Richards medical. Things didn't quite go how it was planned, and yeah, essentially failed. And yeah, now we're in the situation we're in where Richards could be out for 10 weeks. But from what people are saying on Twitter, they're saying that Omar Richards, didn't really complete it, or it was pushed through a bit falsely almost. So, but then again, this is what's being said on Twitter. So I don't really know too much on this situation, to be completely honest. If I did, I'd let you know. But on this one, I don't really have much knowledge. I'm just going off what a lot of people are saying. I would wait a little bit and we'll find out a bit more, I'm sure. Just ask my Liverpool fan mate who's staying up. Oh, thank you. Asked him to sub to me. Amazing. No, not okay. So that's not. So Tadic would have been class a few years. Yeah, I think he's still got something, though. I think he's still got something to offer. But we'll have to wait and see. Fabrizio Romano, good work, my friend. Why do you think Ramsey is? If only that was Fabrizio Romano, eh? That really did get me there. I don't think it'll be Forest. Maybe another Italian side or America. I mean, I know he's ruling out America, but I don't see him at Forest. I think the odds are there, but no, I wouldn't bet on that. Not that I'm giving advice on betting, by the way. I'm not giving advice. Main problem I have with these in posts is that they repeat. They do, and it's not just in sports as well. It's also in just general articles. Like they'll post an article from 3 months ago or an article from Liverpool. It's like, well, we don't really care, to be completely honest. We just want to hear what's going on now. But that being said, what generates the most money? And according to them, it's doing what they do now. I don't think that's the best business plan. I think they'd do better in other ways, but there you go. Let them do their thing. So, they were playing Just Can't Get Enough at the Euros. It just brings you back to it, doesn't it? Yeah, it was nice to see. Russell, I'm surprised we have been linked to... Yeah, I thought Pirro was a solid option, to be honest. I would have had him. I'd still have him, to be completely honest. I think he's good. And if you were even going to think about Emmanuel Dennis, I'd rather have Pirro just because a little bit less money and he's a good goal scorer. So, but yeah, we'll have to see. And but on the Cornet situation, as Robert says, Cornet is more versatile, so there's benefits to him. We're going to be having a guest on, and I'm sorry if you are listening. I know I said I'd bring you in earlier, but it's going to be a little bit later. Exactly, Chris. We've got to think about depth. As I say, there's 5 subs, and you don't just want quality first team and then substandard, when they're coming off the bench, because we want to win the game. It's about the full 90. I think Taiwo's being told to hold back. No, I don't think it's being told to hold back Mini Cooper. I don't think it is, but I think he needed the delivery. Andrew, I think Surridge will get a chance. I think it's only a matter of time. I think we can see him starting a few games, and I think he deserves it as well. So yeah, as long as he stays injury free, then yeah. Ralph, I know you're watching. Just give me another 5 minutes, my friend. Just answering a few questions. Hey man, loving the Forest content on YouTube these days. You and Wolverine, thank you very much. Wow, that is amazing. I do try my best, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it because, at the end of the day, I never thought this was really going to go as far as it did, but I never gave up, and I've always enjoyed it. I was close to giving it up probably a few months ago, but glad I came back and did this. Any more news on Kamara from Rangers? Not heard much on that one. I mean, I know there's a few things going around, but nothing new. English medical missed the bone fracture, yeah. Hi, Jamie. Chelsea trying to sell Ziyech for 8 million. It's 29. I wouldn't mind Ziyech at Forest, but it's wages for me. It's wages, how long he wants to stay. If it's a 1-year contract, no, I'm not interested. If it's 2 years, maybe, but yeah, I mean, 8 million, it's not a lot. I think I'd have him at Forest, to be completely honest, but it's, again, wages. Remember going into a second division season with a manager who barely kept us up the year before, because I do have to miss Clough's first season, yeah. And for anybody that didn't see it, I actually did meet Frank Clark yesterday, which was awesome. Yeah, I met Frank Clark. How cool was that? Sunset Reds, Hyall, has Grabban found a club yet? Not seen anything so far, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Hopefully he does. I think he'd get a bit of game time for himself. You can't blame him. He's at a point in his career where he knows it's fairly close to the end. Let him enjoy himself, and who knows, he might come back to Forest in some other way. Would start Dennis on bring a 1 on for him 60. Yeah, but he's £20 million. Is he really a subs? Bring him on as a subs. Is he really going to do what Surridge did last season for 17.5 million? I don't know about that. Second season in, you can talk about that, but nah, it's a tough one. Forest Magic, I've seen that. Wow, Swansea wanted 30 million. Now you're talking. That's interesting. I wouldn't pay that, to be completely honest, given the money we've got. Morgan Gibbs-White, any more contact? Not from what I know. There's probably things going on behind the scenes. I know that he's priority signing for Forest, and you can see why. He's a good young player. And also, people thinking Moneyball-wise, he's got value there. But I don't like to think Moneyball-wise. I like to just think about now. So, yeah. I think he'd be good. So, yeah. I agree. You and Wolverine doing a professional stream full of great content. Thank you so much. If you can get them to subscribe, that's great. Anybody that you can get to subscribe, or even don't even just ask them. Share videos that I've done before and ask them if they enjoy them. And if they do and they subscribe, then that's great. I want people to subscribe because they genuinely want to, not because they feel, people have told them to. But either way, very grateful, Andrew Sharp, for your support. Your continuous support means a lot. 100k a week for Ziyech, interesting. Serena Wiegman showed us how to use the 5 subs very well. Fair play to her. She's done a good job with the England squad, to be completely honest, against some very, very good international sides. So, yeah, and women's football as well. It's not just Europe that has fantastic football. It's global. Whereas, you see, I would say typically, Europe in men's football is essentially if you win the Euros, chances of you winning the World Cup are high, you know what I mean? Although a lot does change in the 2 years, but let's be honest, if you're the best in Europe, you're typically the best in the world. MGW, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that. I would say there's still something in that. Give it time. To be fair, I reckon Dennis will get a good amount of game time. Yeah, I'm not saying that he wouldn't. I think he'd be good, but it's just I'm concerned of how he would work in our formation and in the way we play. Not necessarily in the formation, but in the squad that we currently have. Is he the backup we need? And also the question I was going to ask earlier before I kind of went on another tangent, would you have Lingard as so for example, let's say a 1 he wasn't playing, Lingard as an 11, which he is anyway, in terms of his shirt number, but playing as an 11, Johnson as a number 9, a 1 on the bench, and then Morgan Gibbs-White as a 10 just behind them if we signed him. Because for me, I would say that would almost solve your backup situation. Potentially. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I think there might need to be some finishing practice, as we saw from County, but he did have long-range shots, to be fair. But I would say Johnson as the main striker and then Lingard as forward next to him. and then Morgan Gibbs-White behind wouldn't be that bad if you're playing a 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. So, yeah, and it was an outstanding chip. You're absolutely right. Really enjoyed that. Jay, you'll be on SS. Oh, that'll be amazing. If we didn't want to pay Cornet 6-7k wages, we must have another top target. This is it. The number 10 shirt has been left open, but the question is for who? Now, don't be fooled into thinking that was a coincidence, because it wasn't. That number 10 shirt has been left there for a reason, and that's not because of what it's not as if I know something in. It's not that. It's clear to see. Anybody can see that. There's a reason that is the case. They're signing somebody. They've got someone in mind. So we'll see how it goes. But Cooper Trooper, thank you very much for your kindness and loving the profile picture, my friend. Mike says, Italy won the Euros, didn't it? Exactly. I'm not saying that that's always, and as I say, a lot can change in the 2 years. But I would say if you're the best in Europe at the time, then you're likely to win the World Cup. If you know what I'm saying, Europe is the hotspot for world talent, essentially. Although that being said, a lot of players that do play in Europe, some of them do switch nationality as well. So the teams that they perhaps could have or should have played for haven't got that talent. But anything can really happen. Kian Harper, evening. I'm all good, my friend. Hope you're well also. What was your striker theory you on about? As I mentioned, I would have potentially Lingard as 11, Jono number 9, Morgan Gibbs-White number 10. I wouldn't mind that. Like, I think that'd be quite good. And in that one as well, you've also got, that would be the backup if a Awoniyi wasn't there. Or even the reverse. If you wanted to make that the main thing and then a Awoniyi come on, then that would be, for me, I think that would save a lot of money. And then, of course, maybe a smaller striker. I don't think Jordan Larson's a bad shout either for that. But for me, I think that would work. But we would need an extra bit of depth in the midfield. So maybe another 2 midfielders, another one after Gibbs-White, I would say. Williams, Lingard and Johnson going to be a force reckon with this season. I don't know if anybody felt the same, but I thought that Brennan Johnson was even quicker against Valencia than I've normally seen him. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's quick as it is, but did anybody else feel like he was just like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times faster that game? I mean, absolutely unreal. And he was against good opponents. I think he was against Jose Gaia down on the left, and also Paulista, who's a very physical but good defender. So yeah, for me, very, very pacey. If he gets the delivery, Brennan Johnson can score every time. I'm enjoying watching him play. And I think it's fair to say that even in the pre-season, it's clear to see that he's learning new things and he's growing as a player. I think he'll adjust very, very well to our standard of football in the Premier League. So let's have a quick look. You start in midfield this weekend then, Jay. Ooh, well, if we're going 5-3-2, you're going to have 2 holding, aren't you? Well, kind of. You're going to have one just in front of each other. But I'd go for Mangala as a 6, O'Brien as an 8, Lingard as the 10, and then Awoniyi and Jono up front. That's what I'd do. Of course, I'm not saying that I'd rule out Surridge either. I think he'd be quite a good choice. But it just depends, because I thought Awoniyi would have been better as an 11 the other day when they played. But we'll have to see. Any news on sponsor? Nothing yet. Some people saying it with the owner's shipping company. Don't quote me on it. But if I do get it right, do quote me on it. Got something to show you later, which I need an opinion on. Sure thing. If it's any of these retro shirts that are beautiful, then let me know. This was my brother's late granddad's shirt, and he collected shirts, and I love it. He's got Newcastle ones as well. I'm not saying I've got a soft spot for Newcastle, but I've always, because of him, I've always, watched the odd Newcastle game and, see how it is. I don't mind a bit of Newcastle. I don't support them by any means, none of that. But I'm looking forward to going to the stadium and seeing the fans and the atmosphere. Well done to England, amazing. You've used the wrong flag there, though, unfortunately. Who's your 2 starting CMs? It'd be, I mean, if we're not counting Jesse Lingard, I suppose it might be O'Brien and Mangala. I think O'Brien, very quick feet, quick to get around players. He also plays for the set pieces. The only thing that, and I think he's getting used to it, is just playing out to those wings because he's fast and he's explosive getting up front. As I've said, even before he signed, I've said this is what he does best. And he's doing a very good job of it. So, I would say O'Brien and Mangala. presuming that Mangala is fully fit and ready. But Yates is out for another 2 weeks, so that's obviously a concern because Mangala still needs to gel as well. So you're risking it. It's a risk, but I think Mangala can fit. But you've got to basically hit the ground running on Saturday against Newcastle. So who is your starting CMs? I've answered that one. So now let's and Kean says, wouldn't be surprised if Colback starts. I doubt it. I think he's had his time now in pre-season. Lewis O'Brien, not the best signing so far, Chris, I don't think. I think he's done well. I think it shows that when he's got another midfielder next to him, he does even better. But for me, it would be Nico Williams would be the best signing, or Niakate. I think they've been fantastic. I don't know anything about 1974, bit before my time. But someone who's going to talk to us about Forest is Ralph. Now, Ralph, welcome to the stream. Good to have you, and it's good to see that you are a space enthusiast like myself. But today we're here to talk about Nottingham Forest. So let's. Oh God, Harold, what's that rat's tail on? Don't start that. Okay, I'm trying to grow a mustache. I'm trying. But Ralph, without further ado, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for inviting me on. Good to see you've got an international audience tonight. You're going to smash that 1,000 subscribers before Newcastle, no doubt.
Thank you very much. I do hope so. I mean, it's good to have people all the way from Texas, Australia.
Yeah.
We've had people from India as well. We've had lots of different countries joining us for streams. Now, let's talk about Forest, because I know that you're interested in Forest. You're a Forest fan. I'm interested to know your thoughts going on into that Newcastle game, and in particular the midfield region. Who are your three starting midfielders for that game?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the crux at the moment for Forest. It was really nerve-wracking a few pre-season matches ago when we were playing the youngsters and we weren't really gelling against Barnsley and the Berlin teams, Hertha Berlin. But I think that, now as we're starting to get those quality players in, we're starting to get some depth, albeit getting some injuries now, which is starting to, worry us a little bit. I think that Valencia really pepped us up and made us realise that we've got some good players in this team now. And I know Valencia are kind of, a week or 2 weeks behind us in the training and preparedness, but they're still a good quality team. And the real thing about Valencia, I think, that we can take out of this is that they're a team that have already gelled. They're mostly last year's team. So they know how each other works. And all it is getting the fitness up for them. And we matched them. I thought we were a really good team. We've not just got that left side that's phenomenal. Sorry, the right side that's phenomenal that we had with Spence and Johnson. Now we've got Nico Williams. It's a fantastic replacement for Jed Spence. Better, in my opinion. I know that's going to be contentious. But now we've got the left-hand side as well. Toffolo's playing better than I expected him to, because I expected him to fill in for Omar Richards. And, of course, with that injury, it means that he's had to step up, and I think he's done that really well. Our knee looked really good yesterday, I thought. That pace, intelligence and strength, I think if we get that link-up play between him and Johnson, they are going to be absolutely firing. I think that is that. You were mentioning earlier about the 10, 11 and 9 role. And I think the diamond that we had yesterday up front has got to be our first choice for that, unless one of them starts to falter. But you're right. I think it's that central midfield that's where, we don't really want to be relying on Colback, sadly, as much as we love him for what he did for us last year. I don't even think we want to be relying on Yates. Now, I've got a theory that Yates is going to really raise his game like he did last year and become a really good Premier League player. But based on how we know him at the moment, I think we do need someone better than that until he does develop into that player. Mangala really excites me. I know that the YouTube clips really mask a lot of issues there might be, because you're only seeing the quality actions that they've taken. But Mangala looks the real missing piece that we didn't have last year, really, where you can just immediately turn defence into attack and just spin the game around, pass it out to players that can just drive forward. And now that we've got players that can drive down the left, the right and the centre, we just look such a dynamic team.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on that point that you've mentioned, Mangala. Now, I'm going to put up the little slide, and I think I put it up earlier in the stream. 24, 168 professional appearances, 4 goals, 15 assists, and also a cap against Ireland for Belgium. Cost us 12.6 million. We'll talk about the fee in a moment, but I put out on Twitter that he was a defensive midfielder. And although not primarily a defensive midfielder, for everybody that was hounding me, some people are more in an aggressive way. Most people nicely, but some people not so much. Just to prove to you, he's actually had 70, sorry, if I get the stats up, 88 games as a defensive midfielder, 79 as a central midfielder, and only 8 as an attacking midfielder. He's also done right mid and left mid as well. So we've got a versatile midfielder on our hands. Now, let me just ask you a question then. £12.6 million, 13 million euros with 2 million in add-ons, just about. How are you feeling about that price tag? I think it's a fairly good price tag for the player that we've signed. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a snip for someone of his quality. You don't get to play for Belgium unless you're good on the ball. And as I said, I think he's that really difficult piece in the jigsaw to get. Somebody that is going to. There's no doubt we are not going to be a possession team next year. We are going to be a counter-attack team next year, and we're going to do it hopefully really effectively like we did last year. But we had lots of games last year where we were only getting 30-40% of possession, and this year it's going to be even tougher. We need someone who's going to break down tough attacks for us next year, and I think he's that person. I think you're right to say he's a defensive midfielder because the qualities he's got, being able to, he's one of those rare breeds that can just time tackles so well. I think his stats are something like when he puts a tackle in, he pulls it off 80-90% of the time, and he's going to be the person that, from the way I've seen him play him, he's going to be able to get his foot on the ball, take it off other players, immediately turn the play around really quickly and spray it out to people, or carry the ball forward himself. I think he's a snip at that price.
Now, I agree. And I think for the price, I mean, £12.6 million. I know some people going 15 million euros. What on earth? But you got to, if you convert that into pounds, which we're buying in, it's not that bad.
We're in the Premier League. Obviously we need quality.
Absolutely, and 12.6 million in the Premier League is not a lot. I mean, I know the top 6 go for 60 million. I'm not saying that, but even then, some newly promoted will go for 30 million, 25 million.
Yeah, so, as he will if he has a good year with us.
Well, of course he will. But I mean, I can imagine he'll stay for a fair bit if he does. I think he will do well. But I was speaking to a Stuttgart fan, and he told me, and I'm not going to reveal because we were having just a normal conversation. And so I don't want to just say that I'm kind of just going to reveal our whole conversation there. But the Stuttgart fan said to me, please look after him. He has potential to be a very, very good Premier League player. Underrated, perhaps not known by many, but he's got good potential. Now, of course, when you don't know a player necessarily, like many of us didn't know Mangala. I didn't know Mangala when it came to about 2 weeks ago. And then obviously all the leaks and stuff, we soon got to know him. But, we need to talk about rotation in the midfield because, of course, that's something we've got to talk about. People aren't 100% sure what's happening with that. And I will answer your questions, by the way, guys. I'm seeing a few things popping up. But I want to know how you feel about that because you've got Lingard, O'Brien, Mangala. That's already 3 midfielders. You've still got Yates, Colback, Cafu, potentially Morgan, Gibbs-White, Cornet. In total, that's 8. So let's say Colback and Cafu don't get any game time.
Yeah,
you've got 6 players there. You've got to rotate them. But how do you feel about that? Do you think that it's a fairly healthy rotation? I mean, 3 for 3, and you've got 5 substitutes as well. How's that going to fit on the bench? What are you thinking about that?
It's kind of a new world for us in a way because we've spent so long in the Championship where just getting that 11 players that are quality is difficult without having to think about having quality in reserve and who you're going to annoy that's in the first team. Because all of those, I mean, when you were making that discussion earlier about who's going to play, and is Morgan Gibbs-White going to come in? Will Cornet come in? Who's going to want to be a backup striker? They are all people that are so gunning for this for the first team in a team that's newly promoted. And even Cornet said, he wants to go to a European team, which I think is a bit of a stretch for him. He needs to prove himself a bit more to be in that kind of league. We seem like a good bet for a lot of teams because we are really going for it. And, the project that Steve Cooper keeps talking about, of the data analytics and improving players and things like that is a. It seems to me that's one of the things that really enticed Jesse Lingard to come and join us, and probably a few of the others. But that doesn't get around that issue of everyone you want to bring in now has got to displace Johnson, they've got to displace Lingard, they've got to displace O&E, or wait for them to get injured. And if we want real quality, if we don't want to be signing people that are just really good in the Championship, which I don't think we want to be doing now, I think if we're going to sign another striker, we've got someone who looks really good, but is a bit of a risk with O&E because of how he's played in games to start with, and can we get him the service that he needs? We've got a bit of a risk with Brennan because he looks fantastic and we all love him, but he's not played in the Premier League. Who's going to want to come in and be potentially a backup?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, every single player that we've bought, other than Lingard, I know that Colback's got Prem experience, but we're talking Premier League now. Lingard recently, Henderson as well. Every player's a gamble. I think of course, people worry about other players, but if I'm being honest, Brennan Johnson's one of those that I worry about the least, because I thought yesterday he showed off something I've not really seen before. When the ball's coming over to him in the attack, he's starting to go for the headers a little bit more, trying to get it on the chest, doing things like that.
Yes,
maybe not even putting in more physical input. You know what I mean? He didn't need that. That's what he showed. Not that he didn't do it, because I thought he had a little bit more physical input, but going for the headers, trying to win things like that, he was doing that. He was trying to win the first ball. And for me, massively important. I think it's good to see that he's adapting his game, but also not necessarily changing it 100%, because he's still working hard to get the ball, make the crosses, and also get the goals in. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw the angle that he actually put his foot in to make that goal, but it was sensational. It's not easy to do. But Nick's just told us that Carlos Cobran is the new head coach at Olympiacos. Fair play to him. It was a bit of a sinking ship at Huddersfield, I must say. And I know that Burnley are a tough opponent, given they've just come down, but even then, they didn't play very well the other day. Andrew, it's a question I've been asked a lot of. Are you going to have members? Not straight away. I know people are asking me to. I think I've got a decent amount of money saved at the moment to be able to not have that. I just want to keep providing free content for everyone, because I know, especially at the moment, money's tight, and even £1 or £2 a month can be better spent somewhere else. So for me, and also time-wise, I'm just going to leave it for the moment. Maybe a couple months after, when everything's a little bit better out there in the world, we will. But only if you guys want me to. I'm not going to do it unless you want me to. Shout out number one media fan. Thank you very much for that. It means a lot. Chris, not writing off Colback by any means, but I wouldn't have him in a first team Premier League side. It would not make sense. He's not fast enough. And if you thought the speed of the Valencia players was something, wait until you find the players. Look at Man City versus Liverpool in that Community Shield. If you got the chance to watch it, very, very, very fast-paced football. He wouldn't be able to compete with that. So I like Jack Colback, nice guy, personal, but not a starter. Not a starter. Want Keenan Davis in. Obviously, everybody at Forest loves him, but I also... Well, Ralph, what do you think about that? Keenan Davis, would you take him?
Oh, man. If the price was right, yeah. Just because he's got so much raw talent, and he scares players that he's running at. I want to see him score more goals. And of course, I don't know if you saw that video of the data analytics that Lewis Grabban was taking
shooting practice
Davis through to help him with his scoring that he credited him for. I'd like to think that he could improve, but again, it comes back to that thing of, if we're going to get another striker in, I don't want someone who is a backup striker or someone who we're taking a bit of a risk on for 10 or 20 million pounds. I want it to be someone who we know. I'd rather spend more money and it be somebody that we know is going to bag 10, 15 goals. And even if that means getting somebody whose contract's coming up and spending it on wages like we did with Lingard, although I can't actually think of anyone that falls into that category.
Well, you got to have the concern with injuries, though, haven't you, as well, with Keenan Davis?
Absolutely.
As people are saying, you're going to get, and he's injured again with a hamstring problem, you're going to get maybe, 5, 6, 7 games of Davis being absolutely a tank, but then he's going to be out for a few weeks. We can't have that kind of disruption, can we?
No, we can't. And I think we're going to feel that where we're the most shallow in numbers is in that midfield area, where at the moment we've got, was it Colback and O'Brien that played yesterday? That is an area where we really need a bit more depth in there. And I think, perhaps a bit more quality is likely to come in. We've heard those rumours in the past, haven't we, that, there's another big marquee signing that's on the horizon. I don't know whether that was Mangala or not, or whether, they've got someone else in mind. Everyone was thinking that was going to be Aaron Ramsey. That seems a bit less likely now. And I know people are absolutely divided on that, but I like that. I like that people are divided on whether players should come in or not. But for me, I'm all about, now we've got a real good kind of level of O'Brien and Mangala and Yates are, for me, good enough in this division. Not world beaters yet, might well be in the future, but seem perfectly good in this division. If we're going to get more people in for that depth, I want them to be people that are going to slot straight in there because they've got real quality.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I will say there's a marquee signing. There is someone Forest. Forest wants. No, not even that. Forest wants someone. As I said earlier, they've got that number 10 there. I think you can probably. Forest have got Morgan Gibbs-White as priority, right? We all know that. There's no secret to that. Do I think we'll sign him? Yeah, I think we'll sign him. And that's because of the fact that although there's all these things going around, all these various sites, I think we're going to get him. I think he wants to come to Forest, and I think Forest eventually will come to the point where they go, we've completed most of what we need to do. If it means spending the extra 30 million, let's do it, because you're going to spend up to 120 million, and to be completely honest, it's standard for what most Premier League teams or most newly promoted teams would spend. So for me, yeah, I don't see why not to get Morgan Gibbs-White. And I think actually realistically, we could do it. I think the number 10 will be there for him. We'll have to wait and see. I'm confident of it happening. Let's have a quick look. Broja still, I'm not too interested in Broja. I think he's a good player. I think he does a lot off the ball in terms of, making important tackles. And also it's not just about scoring and assists, as we've seen with certain strikers like Davis, because he does a lot more. Like players like Zinkernagel does a lot more. But I think we need to look at someone else. Andrea Bellotti, highly rate this striker from Torino. He's on a free at the moment. But yeah, not 100% sure whether we'd be able to land him. Tim Murphy missed the start of the stream. Did we mention Bowler? We did. I'm not too interested. Perhaps maybe rotation, but even then, I still think you need someone of a bit more class, in my opinion. Andy Carroll, no way. Let's not even go there. Now, someone has asked me to ask for your thoughts, and it's Sean here from South Africa, by the way. So another person listening from around the globe. He asks me, Ralph, would you take Aaron Ramsey in a Forest side?
Yes, in a heartbeat. I know he didn't play so well for Rangers, but they didn't have Steve Cooper there. They didn't have this as part of this project, bringing in players that are all good guys that are supportive and helping one another out and want to play for one another. Aaron Ramsey, if he comes, there's no way he is going to be coming on 200,000 a week, whether he plays or not. It's only ever going to be a pay-as-you-play contract. So if he plays, he gets paid. If he's injured, we don't pay him anything. That seems perfectly reasonable to me. And the help that he can give behind the scenes to the other players, especially in that midfield, given that, the majority of players that we've got are between 22 and 25, they've got a lot more development still to do. And a player of Lingard's ability and Ramsey's ability in order to coach them is just going to be phenomenal.
Well, there's a lot of, I think, Steve Cooper can do wonders with players, and also Forest medical professionals perhaps a little bit better. Some people saying Juventus overworked him as well. So, maybe there is injury concerns with him. Maybe he's a little bit more prone to it, but also there's the idea of how hard he's being worked, if he's being overworked. Now, Anton Stach, he plays for Mainz, as you mentioned. He's what, 23? He's nearly 2 meters tall, fairly big guy. His value has jumped massively. He jumped to nearly £10 million in a year. So fairly good stats by the looks of it. I'm trying to find some quickly. Now, Transfer Market is saying that the probability of transfer to Nottingham Forest is around 30%. So not really too much. Odds aren't showing that he's likely to go to Forest, but I don't think it'd be a bad choice. Remember Lars Veldovic? I can't remember Lars Veldovic, to be completely honest. I was probably alive by that point.
That
Properly
was only
in
a
the
few
game
years
with
ago.
Forest. It was only if I know it's only if
I really feel for the guy. He absolutely banged them away for the club that he was playing for before he came and joined us. Was absolute dud, but he was tall. He was a good target man, and he's got a great goal scoring record behind him. I was devastated it never worked out for him because it was around the same time as Sombalonga joining us, and I thought that after the two of them, it may well be that that Lars would have been the greatest striker. So you can take anything I say on here with a pinch of salt because clearly I've got no predictive powers whatsoever.
To be completely honest, my memory of Forest before the golden 150-year anniversary is blurred. I just remember I used to hate football. I used to, probably when I was about 4 or 5, my dad used to take me to the games and I'd always just say, "Dad, can we leave early? Can we leave early?" So yeah, gutting, but there you go. Hope Yates' knee is okay for next week. Don't think it will be. I think he'll probably be out for another 2 to 3 weeks, as Keith says here. As much as we'd like to see him against Newcastle, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Matt Phillips of West Brom. I'm not 100%. I don't really know much about Matt, to be completely honest. West Brom, I don't really know much. I'm not sure about them, to be completely honest. Here's a bet for anybody interested. Minnie Cooper says Lampard to get sacked first. I'd agree with that one. I think Southampton are one of those teams where I'm not sure if they're going to do really well or really bad, because I think they're either going to do one or the other. I think they might shock a few. I mean, they made a fairly good signings, Aribo and others from Man City as well. But I don't know. It's either, for me, it's Lampard. Yes, I think Hassan Huttle or whatever his name is. I don't know. I've just got a feeling. Got a bit of a feeling. Something could happen with Southampton.
I think it'll be a race between him and Parker as to who can get sacked first.
Oh, well, Parker at Bournemouth, yeah. I think he got a bit lucky, I think. I'm just being completely honest. I mean, referee decision with Forest. Would have been nice to go up automatic. Glad that we went the way we did, in a way, because it was incredible. It cost a lot of money, but it was incredible. But yeah. So, Chris Game, Postelos, Velios. I thought he was okay at times. Didn't mind the guy. Rockabilly Gardner, Fat Fraud Lampard. The whole thing feels weird for me at Everton. And Ralph, I want to know your thoughts on this, because for me, the whole Everton, it just seems a bit like fabricated now. It feels like Everton they know what's happening, but they're trying to kind of cover it up with all these little things that they're doing, like getting UFC fighters to come and talk to the players. It's like the players don't feel happy. Morale's massively low. And Frank Lampard's just smokescreen for bad owners. What do you think about that?
Oh dear, another Premier League club that's in trouble. Great. That'll do me. I'll take as many of those as I go in this season. No, I mean, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me about Everton because I've got a big old rant on this one. And Everton just annoy me. They annoy the hell out of me. They've been in the Premier League forever. They're considered one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League, in world football even. And they just underperform every year. They're taking all this money every year and they still can't cement themselves. They're always at risk of going down. They're kind of like Coventry were 20 years ago when, there was that saying, if they painted the Titanic sky blue, it'd never go down. And Everton are kind of in that position. So I'm all for letting the ship sink.
Wow. Okay. He's ruthless in his analysis there. Now, Forrester Magic puts out a point. I've never rated Narby, and I'm not going to say I don't rate him because of that, but I don't rate him because of that management. Because of the fact that, for me, he was given ridiculous amounts of resources, good players, in terms of he had Tomori, he had Mason Mount, Harry Wilson, all these players, very capable at the time, and only a year later will be making first-team appearances for their various teams, and he still couldn't get up. And also, that put Derby into massive financial trouble. So I hope he's forgotten about, because he played a big part in that, let's be completely honest, although it was the owner. But he was given unlimited resource and he didn't win it. Whereas Steve Cooper, although given money, it's not like Forest were the highest spending team in that league. He used loan players. We didn't go out buying players. We couldn't do that. And to be fair to Steve Cooper, he's a tactical genius. And in my opinion, and I know I'm a Forest fan, so it will sound biased, but in my opinion, Steve Cooper could become one of the best British managers of all time, because of the fact that it doesn't matter what team he goes to. He did well at Swansea, didn't quite do enough to get up, but I think he could have given a bit more time. Luckily, he didn't have more time and he came to us. But I think Steve Cooper, it's not about what club he goes to, because he knows what he can do. He knows the style of play he likes. He's a man manager. He knows how to keep morale high in the team, and he knows who's who, what they do best. And he does his research. So for me, I think he's got potential to be a very, very good manager. He's got way more experience than most of these newer managers that are coming in by 15 or so years. You know, he was managing in the small Welsh leagues before, you know, and he played at Wrexham, and then he went to Liverpool and then further forward. So, you know, do you think Steve Cooper has potential?
Sword,
well, yeah, of course it is.
But, you know, the better he gets, the more likely we are to have him stolen from us or go off and become an international manager. And, you know, the last thing we want is him leaving us. But I think also there's a lot of credit that has to be given to Marinakis and Dane Murphy as well, because I think that the difference between what he's had at Forest and what he had at Swansea is that he's got a top to bottom project to work within that suits him, and that's, you know, your data-driven recruitment. That means that we get exactly the right players that slot into the formation that he wants. The people that he brought in, the Keenan Davises, and I forget who else it was that we brought in. Panzo was one of them last January. But the players that we brought in last January just slotted in so well. You know, Cook just shored up the defence when he came in and made us almost unbeatable. And Keenan Davis just terrorised people. It was just about knowing the right players to bring in, and that gives me a lot more confidence for this season as well. But the better we do, the more likely we are of having our players taken offers, of having our manager taken offers, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we've got to make sure that we do remain that attractive proposition both to the manager and to the players. And that's why it kind of unnerves me a little bit that we've still got to wait a couple of weeks for Cooper to sign his contract. I thought that would have been the first contract we got settled.
Well, it was all over the news, wasn't it, when he agreed in principle to sign a contract? And I know there's a few people leaving because Door's streaming. Guys, please stay in the. Come on, stay in the stream.
Yeah, stay here.
Come on, stay here. Why would you want to leave? Because we've only got half an hour left. You can catch Door soon after that, I'm sure. Because don't forget, we're doing this. We're both Forest YouTubers, but we're doing our best here, guys. Please stay in if you can. But as I was saying, I almost forgot the point I've gone on to there. But thinking, right, so we'll think about a new point now because I've completely lost my train of thought. But Cooper, he knows what he wants to do with the team. He knows what he wants to do with each individual as well. And as Ant the Hat says, treats players right. But he tells them how it is. And of course, losing, you know, Stephen Reid was a blow. It was a blow.
Yeah.
He's going to do his things. And it's obvious that it's obvious that Stephen Reid had his own personal problems as well. And you've got to focus on your health. You've got to focus on your health before everything. And mental health is just as important as physical health. So for me, fair play to Stephen Reid doing his thing. He's doing what he's doing. But Forest Magic has this. I feel like all the plastics that only became Forest fans this season will slowly start to talk down on the team if you start off slowly. And do you know what? I know there's some comments being made about Door, but to be fair, whenever we lose, Door says to me, he says, when we start losing, trust me, people will start to start hating on you. They'll start hating on you, you know, streamers, content creators. But let's talk about plastic fans in particular, Ralph. You know, are you concerned that loyal Forest fans who've been coming for perhaps decades aren't going to be able to see the team in terms of people that, you know, in the place of people that have basically just gone, well, we're in the Premier League now, let's start watching them, who will probably not watch them next season if we go down? You know, what do you think about plastic fans? Is there a real issue going on inside the club?
That's such a tough one because I've got so much sympathy for fans that have supported for years and want to continue going. But I do get that we want to expand the fan base as well. I find this really tough. You know, I used to live up in Durham, and even when we're in League One, I used to have a season ticket and drive down 300-mile round trip every home game to watch Forest. So I've got some kind of credentials in this as being a long-term fan. But on the other hand, we do need that lifeblood of new fans coming in. But I think the strongest argument is the one that you made there, that they're probably going to be the ones that are going to turn against the team and, you know, be the antithesis of support for them when things do go sour, or, you know, if we get the odd loss, then and that's not going to be helpful for the team. So I think on balance, I'm going to have to say, yeah, you've got to look after your loyal supporters first and foremost. It's great to see that Ebby's banners are still all around the ground.
I've met Ebby 2 times in the last week. So obviously we were in Germany and I saw him and he was actually in the Union Berlin end. And I thought, I've got to go and say hello to Ebby. Everybody knows Ebby.
Yeah.
And I've always seen him on social media, but never actually met him. Nicest guy you'll ever meet. And then I meet him again on the way to Notts County, you know, and he's asking how I was. Lovely guy. If you ever get the chance to meet Ebby, guy with he's in the wheelchair, he's got all the Forest badges and all the stuff on his hat. Amazing guy. Jay Dorcan Wait, thank you. I mean, a few people have left. I'm understanding that it's a bit late as well, so completely understand. We're going till about 9:30-ish. And Ralph, probably another 15 minutes. Me and you are going to have a quick chat, and then I'll answer questions for the last 10 or so minutes. Now, of course, as for anybody that's just joining in, Mangala signed earlier. Door's going to be talking about it as well because he's the main man. And as I mentioned, I got in a little bit, not trouble, but Forest did call and they were like, you know, you've got to take that post down, because for anybody that didn't see it, it was the leak. Now, my friend, you all have seen the video from. His name's Sasha Tovileri. You can just go and look him up on Twitter. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Sasha Tovileri. He's Belgian himself, so of course the Mangala thing there. He's doing good things in journalism. He shared a little bit of a leak, which, in all fairness, it's not the journalist's fault. It's whoever's been leaking the thing at Forest. It's their fault, right? But it was leaked. I shared a picture. Forest didn't want it up. I took it down because I respect the club and I like the club. But we all know it was going to happen, didn't we? We all know Mangala was going to come, and it's good to see him coming. But guys, I want to know who would be, and I want to ask you in a minute, Ralph, how many more midfielders you think we need to sign. But if you had to sign any midfielders, who would you sign, and also how many would you sign? Ralph, I'm in the club of saying another 2 midfielders. How are you feeling about that?
That sounds about right to me. I think we want, like you say, we want another Cam as backup. I know that everybody wants Morgan Gibbs-White. I'm still in the camp of thinking that he's unproven at this level. Although, you know, Jesse Lingard isn't. So, you know, having somebody that's proven at this level and somebody that isn't as the kind of understudy, yeah, that might well work. It's just very expensive for somebody who is unproven. But I don't know who I'd have instead. So, yeah. And then, yeah, I think we probably want another ball winner. We've got a couple of good box-to-box players now. Well, more than a couple. We've got Yates, we've got Mangala, we've got O'Brien. But I think we want someone who's a bit more defensive mindedness for depth as well.
Well, this is what Forest Magic says. He wants Berger from Sheffield United. Okay. Mark says he's seen his first Glory Hunter. Wimbledon fans, crazy. I didn't even know they had fans there. That's a joke. That's a joke. Thank you, Top Stream. And is that really a Steve Cooper thing that you've? That's one that he made. He's told me. Oh God, you've done him dirty there. Top Stream. Thank you, Mini Cooper though. Why have I put his name up again? 2 more CMs, 1 more. Cam says, I know his name's not Mike, but I'm going to say for the sake of it, Mike. Gamer316 says 2 midfielders, 1 forward. But Ralph, I want to know your thought on my proposal that I put forward. Lingard and Johnson, let's say one of he's not playing. Injury, form, whatever. Yeah. You've got Lingard as 11, so just kind of there. And then Brennan Johnson, number 9, a little bit in front of him. And then Morgan Gibbs-White, if he signs theoretically, behind. What do you think about that? Would that potentially solve the backup situation? You've still got Sam Surridge there.
Yeah, I mean, Lingard's played in that position before. He's got a natural eye for goal. He's hungry. He wants to get forward. I mean, for me, he can play anywhere in that triangle at the top between the 9, 10 and 11 position. And he's He's hungry, and because he wants to get in the World Cup, and he wants to show. It seems to me that a lot of the stuff that he's doing on social media at the moment is to go against all of this money grabbing vibe that's coming out, and he's showing, what a genuine guy he is and how much he's committed to the team. And he got stuck in when there was a bit of an altercation on the pitch yesterday as well. And you don't do that if you're only thinking of yourself. You've got to have some camaraderie for that. I think he will fit in anywhere there and help us out with that versatility. Morgan Gibbs-White, I still come back to it. It's just a bit untested for me at this level, and I think that maybe I'm just being a bit too ambitious because we've been so well. Well, I don't know. That's it. I'm not seen him playing in the Premier League, so I just don't know. And it's just a £30 million risk for me. And could we get a £5 million risk, a £10 million risk that's going to be just as good? I just don't know, and that's why I can't say whether I like the idea of Morgan Gibbs-White or not, because it's just a massive blind spot for me.
I think it's a concern price-wise. Do I think he could make the step up 100%? Do I think that the price is right for him? No. Because of the fact, and this isn't because I don't like Morgan Gibbs-White, because I've said since that second leg, since the first leg, I'd have Morgan Gibbs-White. This is what I've said. And I've also said O'Brien, he's came. So I wouldn't mind Toffolo. I haven't really said that, but that's who I've said.
What do you think of O'Brien, by the way, Jay? From his performance yesterday?
He showed something different that people, I don't think, expected. I think people expected a rotation midfielder that would do a decent job, and that's it. Nothing really special. It's the opposite. He is special, and he's a prospect. Tell me a player that we've had in the last however many years that has been able to move their feet that quickly, make passes that well, been able to get past players that well, and also win so many. It's like every time he goes down, it's a free kick. I mean, I don't really enjoy diving. Take a Roy Keane approach on that. But plays for those set pieces. If we get a proper set piece taker in, then I think Forest could be lethal on more than just one or two fronts. He's got the knowledge of Huddersfield's, set pieces, which have been brilliant. So I think O'Brien was brilliant. I think for 10 million, he's a bargain. I think he's going to be worth double that come the end of next year.
I agree.
But when it comes to Morgan Gibbs-White, 30 million, just a bit too much. Not saying he won't be worth more than that in the future, because I think he will. I don't think he's a championship player. I think he's going to be a Premier League. He's got a little bit of experience, a little sprinkle of it with Wolves. But for me, no, I think he's going to do well. Ras, I'm not being unfair on Lampard at all. In my view, it's a harsh view, don't get me wrong. But for me, Lampard, given unlimited resources at Derby, given a good team at Chelsea, let's be honest, he only got the Chelsea job because of sentiment and one good season at Derby, which is great. For me, the fact that Chelsea allowed him to come and be the manager at that point was a bit mental, to be completely honest. And it's not saying I don't like Frank Lampard as a person or a player, because I do. He's a nice guy. He does a lot of good things. But for me, I think he needs to take perhaps a couple of years at a lower league club. Maybe he's going to stay at Everton, and hopefully he does well in his own personal career. Not really hoping Everton do that well, to be honest, because I want us to stay up. But for me, I think maybe a bit more experience is what he needs. I think perhaps he's jumped in a little bit too quick. But then again, I mean, you look at Steven Gerrard. I mean, I'm only going to call Rangers a small club because I'm a Celtic man. But to be fair to him, he stayed at a club that was not a small club, but a club where he's got time to progress and do good things for himself as a coach. I think Lampard needs to take that approach instead of just going, wow, I've just had one good season, I'm off into the big leagues. It's not how it works. Not on my vast experience of being a manager, but from what I know as a spectator and someone that kind of likes to look into this kind of thing, that would be my opinion on it. And exactly, as Forest and Manchester, he has players that are now in the England national team and he couldn't even win playoffs. But yeah, as Nick says, concentrate on ourselves. It's all about Forest. That's why we're here to talk. And Ralph, we've got another 5 minutes and then we're going to start doing a Q&A. So I'll be saying goodbye to you, my friend, but you've been amazing. We're going to have you on again soon. And we'll talk space as well, because I love a bit. I like the things you've got.
Nobody wants to hear about space on here, Jay. This is a Forest
show.
Well,
maybe not on here, but I know people that do, because the things behind you I have massive interest in. But anyway, Ghana, I don't know if anybody else felt this, but I think Garner would have been beautiful in that, not in the Valencia game. I thought in place of Colback, I thought Garner would have been absolutely brilliant. What do you think of that?
I think anybody would have been good in that Colback role. Sadly, I just don't think. I think he let himself down, or just doesn't have the ability that we need. Garner, for me, he's sentiment. He's somebody that we loved last season, and I'm not sure he'd be good enough in the Premier League. I want someone who I know he did such a good job for us last year, and I know people love him for that in the same way that they did for Zinkernagel as well. But it just makes you think that either they're expecting to get this over the line on deadline day at a bargain price, or that just like with the Zinkernagel situation, it was, well, even though most of the fans thought he could still do a good job for us as a backup, they were quite happy to just let him go because they knew they were going to get someone better in that number 10 role. And I think that that's probably what they're thinking about for what we're looking at number 5, number 6 role. And I think they're just thinking either they're going to get someone better or they'll get Garner in last minute. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. He certainly wouldn't be a starter for us. I don't think. I think O'Brien has taken that role.
Yeah, I mean, but it'd be rotation again, wouldn't it? I mean, we'll have to see what happens with Mangala. But Chris makes a good point. Not seeing Mangala play for Forest or in the Premier League, he makes the team for Saturday. And Stuttgart were nearly relegated last season. So, Ralph, counter argument for that, because Chris raises a really good point on that.
He does. Yeah, no, that's a really good counter argument. It's seeing. It is only from seeing his quality on YouTube, which I know covers a multitude of sins, but just seeing his ability to take the ball off people so easily and turn that defence into attack is a position and a skill that we've missed so much. It's the pace of that turning from defence into attack that is just so astounding with Mangala, and his ability to be able to distribute the ball out or carry it forward himself. It comes back to the kind of first point that I was making when I first joined in the show, that last year we were so right-sided dominant. Now we've got the right side that's ferocious, a left side that's ferocious, and the middle's going to be ferocious as well. And all we needed was just somebody in the midfield to dispossess people and get us going when we're trying to soak up attacks, which we will be soaking up a lot of attacks. But I absolutely take your point about Mangala and Garner. It's a really good point.
Well, the final question I'm going to ask you before I go on to the Q&A, which will be the last 10 or 15 minutes of the show, is Harry Winks, would you have him in a Garibaldi shirt?
I'm going to duck this question and just say I would have whoever Steve Cooper and Dave Murphy think we should have. I think the recruitment has been phenomenal, and it's been so nice not trying to second guess and go for our own favourite players, but know that the players that have come in, I mean, Niakate, when he came in, nobody had heard of him. He was wonderful. Bianconi looked really good when he in that first game that he played. Harry Toffolo didn't even have a coaching session when he joined us, and then went straight into playing in a friendly. And I think Harry Toffolo is actually going to be better than we might have thought as well. But I'm just really excited about whoever it is that comes in next, because all of these players that we'd never even heard of are just slotting in so well.
Well, let me ask you one final question then. Omar Richards is going to be coming back from injury at some point in the next month or two. Where does that leave Toffolo? Because he hasn't played bad so far in pre-season. And what if he plays well in the Premier League? I mean, it's good to have competition, but you've paid, maybe 2 million for Toffolo and nearly 10 million for Omar Richards. Is there going to be... What are we going to have to do in that situation?
Let it play out. I think it's quite simply, if Toffolo plays well, Omar Richards is going to realise he's not first choice anymore. You know, there will be that battle for places where if somebody plays really well, then they're going to keep the jersey. And that'll be good for other people to see as well, if it plays out that way, that they aren't guaranteed the shirt because they were brought in. Now, I don't know if any of the players are told you are guaranteed to start. It would seem a bit silly to do that, but you might have to for the likes of Lingard. But it would be really good for other players to see. If I get injured, I'm going to have to work for my place. Or if I don't perform, I'm going to have to really work for my place. So I'd like to see Toffolo doing well and then holding on to the shirt when Richards comes back and Richards having to wrestle it off him.
And as Russell says, form first, forget about fees, and as Nick says as well. Exactly. And I think competition really is important in also pushing up the form of other players and pushing up, because you soon worm out as well what players want to play for the team, because the player that gives up is the player that you get rid of. And for me, if a player didn't, if Omar Richards said in 6 months' time, which is not the case, and I'm not saying it will be the case, but let's say Harry Toffolo was doing good and Omar Richards didn't get the game time he wants and he wanted to leave, get rid of him. And that's my view on all that. And this is why I'm concerned about Scarpa, because although he looks like a good player, if he's saying, well, I'll just go to Olympiacos if they got Champions League, and if not, I'll go to Forest, why should we be a second option? For me, as much as I do think, okay, he wants Champions League, of course, who wouldn't? I don't feel that content being a second option for a player, to be completely honest.
Let me put this to you, Jay. I see it as we might think he's not quite good enough for us and he's still young. So 6 months at Olympiacos playing in Europe might well just be like sending Panzo off to Coventry and giving him a bit of match experience, or sending Brennan off to Lincoln that did a world of good. So I think that's probably the way we're looking at it, because if he comes over here, there's no guarantee that he's going to get into our squad, let alone our team.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens on that one. But I'm still... Yeah, I think he raised a good point. Panzo is going to be a really tough one. I'm looking forward to him coming back at the end of next season. I still think Coventry are going to get top 6. That's the bet I'm putting on. I think Coventry could get top. I think they will get top 6. So
they've got Horvath as well, haven't they? There.
Yeah, they got no Horvath, Luton, I think.
Is he? Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Luton, Horvath. But so for some reason, a lot of Coventry fans seem to love me on Twitter. I'm not doing this just for the fun of it, because I've never really had any allegiance to Coventry by any means. But he hit a shot 30 yards, and he's already scored a couple goals pre-season as well. But Ralph, pleasure to have you joining me. We're going to jump onto the Q&A session now, where I'll answer a few questions. But Ralph, please keep in contact. We are going to be doing another one of these very, very soon if you want to. Great to have you on the stream, talking good. No sentiment, as people were saying, just complete facts, in my opinion, and I agree. Great to converse with you, and look forward to having you join very, very soon again.
Likewise. Take care, my friend, and don't forget, everyone, smash that subscribe button.
Yes, please do. Subscribe if you can. It would mean a lot. We're at about, I don't know, the last time I checked, we were at about 932 something. So whatever we're on now, let's make it even more. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Ralph. Been a pleasure. Take care, my friend.
Take care.
Thank you. So that was Ralph there, absolute legend, a fellow Space fan, and it's good to have him on the stream this evening. Now, I'm aware it's nearly 9:30, so it is Q&A time. I need like a little buzzer, don't know, with all the funny noises. Any questions you've got, let me answer them. We're going to be doing quick fire questions for the next 10 minutes. So please let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe. We're now at 939 subscribers, I've just checked. If you can make it 940 by the end of the night, that would be absolutely godly. So let's have a quick look at some of the questions. Would you have Skip? Yeah, I think Skip. Skip available on loan, potentially. I wouldn't see why not. I mean, he's a fairly decent option as well. And we've still got that other loan in the Premier League to use as well. Tottenham probably not going to be using him next season. So I wouldn't see why not, to be completely honest. Be decent. But yeah, potentially. Niakate or Cook as the central defender in a 3. Niakate, no doubt about it. As much as I love Steve Cook as a player and a person, the pre-season for me, form shows Niakate, and also just looking at previous performance, Niakate is a good player. And he's been a captain as well. He's going to lead that squad, but yeah. Johnson for young player of the season. I'd love to see him go for it. I think he will go for it. Who would you have as captain? Although I've mentioned no sentiment, it's not necessarily sentiment based when it comes to Joe Worrell, because Joe Worrell's been there for 15 or so years. For me, I think he's done more than enough to earn his place as captain of the club, and I think he very much deserves that. So for me, Joe Worrell. I think Niakate is a solid option as well, but Joe Worrell. Alex Myton, good player, needs a loan. He did good in pre-season, but not Prem standard yet. Not physical enough either for me. So yeah, time needs to be had, but he just needs a loan like what Johnson had, where he can go and smash some goals in, build up some confidence, and try and get into this team next year. or at least get into the squad, whether that be on subs bench or not. Who starts in defence? And I love that profile picture of Brennan at Lincoln. For me, defence has got to be left centre-back at McKenna, centre near Carte, and right centre Worrell. Williams as the right wing-back, and then Toffolo as the left wing-back. What is it you do for the BBC? No, I don't actually do anything for the BBC. I don't do anything for the BBC at all. I would love to. I've already said it's one of my dream jobs to work at BBC Radio Nottingham. I know a lot of people that work there, people that are fairly high up at BBC Radio Nottingham, and people like David Jackson and Colin Frey, two people I adore. I got to share the press box with them at Notts County. Or I also shared it with Paul Taylor as well. Many of you will know him. But yeah, I don't work at the BBC. I'd love to. But to answer your question, I don't get in trouble. I don't really have any insider knowledge. I do have some, I suppose, but not a hell of a lot. Not a hell of a lot. Most of my things will come from extensive research. So no, I don't work for the BBC. But I don't get in trouble for things I post unless it's leaks of players, as we saw yesterday. But I won't be doing any of that. Think we're in for bowler? Should we? Absolutely. Martin's got to go out on loan regardless for me. He needs that game time. I think he definitely needs just a season of smashing in goals. With the squad we're building, I think it's top 10 is realistic. Oof. I wouldn't go top 10 yet. I would say mid-table. If at most, I'd say 15th is the one I've gone for. But I like ambition. So, yeah, be nice to see top 10, but I'm going to go mid-table. Hope we're proven wrong, obviously. Do you think Larea will leave? Well, if Biancon's not going to be replacing Nico Williams on that right, I wouldn't mind Larea on the right wing-back position if Williams was out for whatever reason. But if not, he needs a loan. He's good. We've seen him in pre-season. He's an absolute beast, fast, physical, and he's got a lot of good attributes that we haven't seen before. So game time needed for him. Berger, Mangala, or O'Brien MGW's top 8 quality. What do you think? Yeah, absolutely. I think all those players you mentioned, very good. Morgan Gibbs-White, 10. So, yeah, I'd have him as a 10. Morgan Gibbs-White wouldn't come into that category for me. But Berger, potentially, yeah, I'd like to see him. Awesome Astronomy, hello again. Near Carter, he is a beast. I'd love that. My only worry at the moment is all of this investment from Marinakis will push expectations too high. Potentially, but I think, although it's said by fans and also myself that the owners are more ambitious than just surviving, I don't think they're going to be angry if we don't do more than what they're expecting. I don't think they're going to be angry if we do more than just survive. If we survive, I think they'll keep, but they need to keep him anyway. It's a project that he's doing and he's doing good so far. So for me, I think there's always a potential for that. But I think they're probably going to be more sensible. How much game time do you think Cafu will get this season? Not a lot, to be honest. I think he'll get more than Colback, no doubt. Maybe last 5 or 10 minutes of a game, but 5 subs, who knows what will happen. If the midfield situation isn't sorted, then yeah. But I don't think that's even a situation to come. Dennis has scored in the Prem. He scored 10 and got 6 assists in 30 games. But do you pay 30 million for a prospect when you keep? I mean, yeah, it's a good point. I don't know if Dennis can play as a 10. Correct me if he can. If he can, then I don't see why not. Some saying he wants 25 million, so near enough on the valuation. But Morgan Gibbs-White, it's a concern price-wise, not a concern form-wise. So it's a good question. I would still have probably Morgan Gibbs-White, to be honest, if the price was lower. It's a really tough one. I can't answer that one, but that's a really, really good question. If I was a football manager, Cooper Trooper, I would not want you grilling me in that press room. What do you think of Taiwo? Good player. Needs to be played as an 11, I think, instead of a 9 at times. When he's on the ball and gets good delivery, holds the ball well, he's physical. Even if 2 players are on him, he can get it round. And he's got a decent vision as well. You saw the first game he gets good delivery, he did well. So Lewis O'Brien and him will be deadly. J-Take from me, you'll be a great sports journalist. Oh, mate, Andrew, thank you so much. It honestly means a lot to me. I'm trying to hit 1,000 because it's a good milestone to hit, isn't it? And at the end of the day, don't forget, you're not putting my name on the map, you're putting Forest's name on the map. We're now at 943 subscribers. And I know that probably half of you haven't subscribed. If just even 5, 6 more of you could subscribe, we'll nearly be there. So please, it will just put the club on the map more. Premier League content as well. I love doing this. And if you can make my hobby even more enjoyable, then that'd be amazing. Do you think Man United will consider us having Garner on the permanent? Potentially. I think Garner might be the problem. I don't think he'd want to stay here permanently at this point because I know he's got ambitions to get into the United squad. Lots of youth involvement. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. What vibes did you get for the year ahead from Nicholas Randall? I mean, me and Nicholas Randall only managed to really talk about about how young Gary Birtles looked. It was really odd because me and Gary Birtles share a birthday. So I told that to Gary and he came and gave me a big hug. But yeah, I think he looks fairly positive. He doesn't speak like he's anxious. His body language is good. I kind of analysed him speaking to Dane Murphy, and he seems pretty confident. They're obviously having in-depth chats. So yeah, I'm not too worried. But Sam Rycroft, can you shout out Jonathan Rycroft? Jonathan, thank you if you're watching the stream, or even if you're not top Forest fan. Thank you very much for supporting this great club. And I hope you're ready for the next season. It's going to be exciting. Mike, I'm not going to shout out your name because you know why. I do think we'll get a sponsorship announcement in the next week or two. Now, 5 more minutes and we're going to end the Q&A, guys. Thank you all for joining, but we're not quite done yet. Fabrizio Romano, unfortunately, I wish you were Fabrizio. But yeah, thank you. F in the chat for John. What are you doing? Will Lyle Taylor be loaned out? I think we'll sell him. I mean, he's, 32, 33. For his own good, I'd sell him. Not because I don't think he's been bad, but but I just think for the sake of him, there has to be sentiment when selling a player at this point as well, because we're not going to use him much, but another team will, and I think he'll smash it another team. I mean, if anybody saw that touch he did at County, phenomenal. I think they won't sack Cooper regardless of. Yeah, I think we should keep him and keep the faith. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, second loan, not a bad shout. I'd love Conor Gallagher, but I don't think we'll get him. Why loan for Mighton? We're a Prem side. Of course we do, but even then, why would he want to be getting cup games? He's a young player. If you were 29, 30, like Colback and the rest, I'd understand it. But Mighton's more than a cup player, but he's not quite a league player. He needs time, like as I said, with Brennan Johnson at Lincoln. Just need to give him that time to do so. So for me, yeah, give it time and give him a loan. Don't think it's bringing in Morgan Gibbs-White. Money can be better spent. Well, wow. I think the price will be a bit lower if we do get him. But he's a priority signing for Forest. But we'll have to wait and see. I can see us getting him. Chris, thank you for your subscribe. It means a lot to me. And also, your questions are phenomenally hard to answer at times. So unless we're sharing that punditry thing one day, I think my job will be safe. But thank you very much for your subscribe. Has your home snapped and bog? Well, I mean, I didn't have a Premier League badge on mine, so if that says enough for you, I've had to get it all sorted. Thank you. I'd love to be a pro pundit. That'd be an absolute dream. I actually wanted to be an engineer, moved to engineering school, and then found my passion in lockdown. So yeah, there you go. You'll find your passions in lockdowns and in pubs. Who's your favourite player at the minute? Is this for Forest, by the way? I'll take time to answer this question, but is this just at Forest or just favourite player in general in the world? Scouts are doing a great job. Do you think they may pull out some more diamonds? Absolutely. I think we'll see a couple at Christmas. I think we'll probably see another couple of youth players come in, perhaps players that we buy and then loan back to clubs like we did with Brandon Aguilera. So yeah, I think in time, I think the scouts are doing a really good job. Think we need another centre-back? Not really. I think we've got enough. We've got Biancon, who's quite versatile, Niakate, Worrell, Cook. There's 5. So 5 for the 3 and then a couple others. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Jay, who is your top target? Ooh, and I'm going to get hounded for this, but I really do like Morgan Gibbs-White. And as the days come by, I'm more kind of happy to pay bigger money for him, but I still don't think 30 million is the price that we want to pay. I think that's too much. But yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White for me. I think he would add the presence that we need, the physical presence, the delivery that a Ian Johnson needs. He's got the chemistry with the players. The time that he would need to gel with the squad is very, very minimal. I think if it came to it, let's just give him the money and let's go for it. I don't think we'll lose in that situation. I think you've got a really good player there. And saw it in that second leg, but not just the second leg. Look at his season. The amount of goal contributions that he had. Him and Johnson would be absolute destructive in that league, in that Premier League. And also, I think that he's got the potential to be worth more than what we pay for him in the future if we ever look to sell him. But as I say, I don't really like to have that outlook when we sign a new player. So yeah, to answer your question, Cooper Trooper, my top target. Favourite Forest for me at the moment, Niakate. I love him. I think he's done great in terms of newer players, but overall, Brennan Johnson, because for me, I think in January, I've never not rated him. Never. I've always rated him. Okay, let's get this right. I've never doubted him, but in January, I was concerned about the price tag we put on him of 20 million. I'm glad that I've been proved wrong. I think he's good. He's got a good attitude. I think he's fairly shy as well. Most people, I don't think people know that, but he's a fairly shy lad. But he just wants to go out and play football. He works hard. And not just that, but he shows that on the pitch. So for me, Brennan Johnson's there. Joe Worrell's the embodiment of what Forest should be. I love Ryan Yates too. But Brennan Johnson and Nico Williams, got to get a mention. I think the link up between them is fantastic. One gives not for penalties. Oh God, let's not even go there. Any strikers that you would take in the squad? Well, Andrea Bellotti from Torino. He's on a free. I'd have him in a heartbeat. I think he'd do well, and I think considering you're not paying anything for him and it's just wages, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind it all. Andrea Bellotti, Emmanuel Dennis, of course, is an option. But yeah, for me, I would go for Andrea Bellotti. I would love it. Forrester Magic, I remember watching him back in the day. Yeah, back in the day against Derby. There was always something about him, wasn't there? I think that season at Lincoln, he just needed. And it went really well. Do you think one of you will adapt well to the Prem? Yes, I think he will. I think he's done well in terms of assists. I'd still say number 9 for Johnson, to be honest. But there's benefits to him playing number 11 Johnson as well. But yeah, I think one of you will be fine. But you see what happens when people get behind him and give him the reception he deserves, and also the delivery on the pitch. Factors to it. I think he's done well. Isaac, Dennis or Cornet, if you had to pick, Cornet, bit more versatile for me, costs less as well. Yeah, he's got a lot of time ahead of him. So, yeah. Favourite Forest player of all time? Well, considering I'm only a young lad, I can't really talk much about Collymore or anyone. So from players that I've watched, I always enjoyed watching Reedy, Andy Reid. Not saying that, by ability he might be the best, but I always enjoyed. He always made my day going to watch Forest. So yeah, Reedy's one. Oh God, you're making me really think about this now. Yeah, Reedy was always one. Who else did? I mean, and this is on a personal level, by the way. I mean, he was by no means Forest's best player, but Orel Mangala, some of you might remember him. I got on really well with him. Me and him, we've spoken for the last 2 or 3 years. We still speak now. And he donated £200 to a charity do that I was doing. So, yeah, Orel Mangala is on a personal level. Nice guy. Jamie, bit of Irish blood in you? Yes, there is, on my dad's side. And that's why we go for Celtic. That is why. What are your thoughts on Johnson and Wani link up? Really good. But I do beg to ask the question, is Wani a number 9 that we need, or a number 11? Do you think Derby will get promoted? Potentially. I wouldn't say yesterday's game was anything to go off, but yeah. I remember Traore. See, not a bad. He was all right, He was all right. That Arsenal game, I won't forget. Thoughts on the amount of TV coverage Forest are getting this season? Brilliant to see them on Sky Sports, Match of the Day, and others. Absolute dream. And to maybe even to be able to meet some of the pundits would be quite nice as well. I met Gibbs-White at Wembley. Personal dream for me. But yeah, it's good to see what's going on there. Lots of money coming in too. Chris Habgood says, Chris Cohen for me. Yeah, always made our day. Forest Magic, I'm a Rangers lad. Well, guys, listen, I've got to end it there. We went 20 minutes on that Q&A. And listen, I'm looking at the subscriber count currently, and we have hit 947 subscribers. Oh my gosh, we are so close. Guys, if you could make it 950 in maybe the next day, tonight, I would be forever grateful. We're so close to 1,000. We can do it. We can do it. Please, guys, if you can subscribe, it takes just a moment. Just a moment. Surridge was good, really good. Unlucky not to score at times, but yeah, good. I am going to hopefully all of the away games this season, bar Fulham and Bournemouth, because I'm on holiday. Thank God, boring games. But yeah, we'll wait and see, won't we? Cheers, Jamie. Thank you very much, Forest Magic. Guys, a pleasure to have brought yet another stream to you all. We are going to be back, and I can confirm this, tomorrow evening. Pleasure. I know that some of you moved over to Door on Tour. No hard feelings, I promise you. Door's a great YouTuber, and I'm just very thankful for everybody that did stay in here. Have a great evening. More importantly, have a great start to your week. I'll be on the radio as well at nhradio.org.uk, bringing you music tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Not that that's what time I wake up. And if we hit 1,000, Jay will shave his tash. Yes, I will. Marts, I'm overdue one anyway. So yeah, if you get me to 1,000, I'll shave my tash. Will I do it live on stream? Probably not. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'll shave my tash if we get to 1,000. Isaac, thank you. Chris, again, thank you. GGJ, thank you. Guys, peace out. Have an absolutely fantastic night. Loving the Stuttgart merch, of course. I know you all are. If you want to see Media Man merch, let me know. I'm joking. Thank you all very much for joining. Cheers, guys. Have a fantastic evening.